morning and welcome to another episode of Business Beat with me, Odette. Today, I'm joining you from Starbucks in the new store in Rosebank Mall, and I have the privilege of talking to the CEO of Starbucks, Adrian Macy. Good morning, and how are you?
Good and you.
Welcome back to South Africa.
Thank you for having me.
So Starbucks.
Yes.
I am always following the do's and don'ts of branding, in terms and business in terms of Starbucks. How has Starbucks landed in South Africa? Has it been a soft landing in a traditionally tea market?
I think it's actually not been a soft landing. I think it's done exceptionally well.
Okay.
Now there's noise around the corporate side of the business, but the brand itself, from a consumer perspective, if you look at purely our sales volumes, I think it's done exceptionally well relative to the competition. So I have an idea of what our average competition sales are, and I know what ours are. And I go, okay, there's a lot of demand for coffee. There's a lot of demand for our product in this country. So in that sense, it's been a strong landing. From a custodian of the brand perspective, I think the last 5 years as a journey has been problematic for the brand itself because of the management of the business per se. And I think therein is a story that is unfortunately tarnished a little bit of the history of the brand in South Africa. But as a demand for product, I think it's done quite well. Despite South Africa historically possibly being a tea drinking country, I think the brand and coffee in the country has really morphed into, like the rest of the world, really coffee drinkers, and more of a place to work and live and enjoy and socialize and get a coffee or a tea if you want. We have that too. But I think in that sense, it's a tale of two worlds or two cities.
So the collaboration, I see a lot of big brands and big business collaborating a lot, to find mutual target audiences and to bring added value to consumers. Starbucks has now collaborated with Checkers. Starbucks traditionally being an aspirational brand or a perceived affluent brand. Checkers being a more middle market brand. Was that a deliberate strategy?
So first of all, the partnership to start with that is been with ShopRite Checkers has been phenomenal. I'm blown away by the quality of the partnership, the people we have been working with and so that's been a great starting point. So this is a FreshX store. We are generally going to partner with them on their FreshX store, which is the introduction of the higher end shopping aspirational type market, as you'll see behind us. Beautiful. Hopefully competing with a little bit of Woolworths, which hasn't had competition for 40 years. And so in that sense, I think that's how we'll enter into the market with them. And I think it's brand enhancing for them. And therein lies the value and why we came together with them. I think from us, it creates scale. And ultimately to I think where you're going to here is to serve the broader market. So we need accessibility. We've got these beautiful stores around the country. They're big. They're a destination at the moment. But it needs to become a lifestyle. It needs to become convenience. It needs to become a habit so that we can really serve and offer to the rest of the South African community what we are bringing to them. Right now, it's limited to a few key locations. This will give us scale, and behind that is the logistics function, the support function that we get through the partnership with ShopRite Checkers, which is hopefully be a deal changer for us.
I think it's phenomenal. I think it's very clever from a strategic point of view. Listening to you now and understanding the rationale behind it, what advice can you give us in that regard?
So we need a lot of time to go through all that. It's a very complex question, but it's a beautiful one, and I think there's as it's described to me, everything needs to pull together. So stepping back from the brand itself, if you just simply think running your own business, you're an entrepreneur, and you've got HR, you've got accounting, you've got marketing, you've got operations, you've got supply chain. They all need to be rowing in the same direction. So fundamentally, everyone needs to know where we're going, what that North Star is, and how it all peels together. So when I'm hiring someone, are they in line with the brand ethos, where we're going? Do they understand where we want to go? Does supply chain understand why we're trying to serve a customer in a certain way, et cetera, et cetera? So you bring it all together. Now that's the overall branding and making sure that the golden thread, in our case, the green thread that connects everything together is so important. If you're an entrepreneur starting out from scratch, I think one thing what I've learned is you can't be everything to everybody.
Of course.
That's for starters. You have to know what you are and what your values are and where you stand. Know your value. I think that's key, is knowing your value and then sticking to it. So there's a very long answer that I could answer, but I think in short, that's what I would focus on.
I think that is so relevant. And I think that a lot of brands try to be too much by being all things to all people because they try and achieve scale and volume by trying to be everything. But I can so see that the partnership is mutually beneficial, that both brands have something to gain from each other without losing their own ethos and essence.
Yes.
And they have something to bring to the customer.
It's spot on. And, this started out with them calling us going, we're not coffee guys. We're grocery guys. We know that we don't know how to do coffee well. You know how to do coffee well. You know how to do the experience well. Selling coffee is one thing. Bringing the whole experience together. So you get a lot of people go, well, it's just coffee, but there really is not. It's people serving coffee, but there's a whole ethos around building this brand and sustainability and scale, and on the partnerships and building communities around them. Ultimately through the lens of performance. So I agree with you. It's in it to make money, but it's really about delivering and giving back to the community, giving back to the individual that works there through the lens of performance, so that they can go on and contribute to their communities and to their families. And that is a compounding effect of building an ecosystem where it is sustainable and generates really well, in a sense, for all communities around.
A last question, COVID.
Yes.
You know, we can't have an interview during COVID without talking about the impact of COVID on the business. How have you found this, not just in the local market, but also globally? And how are you weathering the storms?
COVID has taught us it's accelerated the digital aspect of the business. I think that's the one thing I've learned globally is you've seen it in the US, you've seen it in Europe, you've seen it here in SA, where we were not at the forefront of the digital curve buying online. All of a sudden, it's really jumped everyone forward. And I think that is what COVID has really done, is accelerate the digital aspect. Now, Starbucks' IP around digital is massive. We've got to get the right stores in place so we can deliver to you, we can be convenient to you, you can mobile order and pay, you sit at home, you hit a button and it shows up at your door, or you quickly show up at the store and there it is. So digital is that
key. Was the biggest, during stage 5 lockdown, the biggest bane in my life personally was the habit of grabbing a coffee before I get to the office. And I must say that whilst I do like having good coffee at home, and I do have good coffee at home, I definitely miss that cup.
There's something about that.
The paper cup.
I do the same thing.
It was absolutely awesome. I could talk to you all day.
Love to.
And I wish you well and every success. And I will certainly be watching from afar, but I'll also be catching you in the books.
Thank you, and thank you for your support.
Thank you so much for being on the show. And to the viewers, there you have it from the horse's mouth himself. In order to build a successful business, irrespective of what industry you're in, irrespective of what size of business you are trying to build, marketing objectives and strategic business objectives have to be integrally linked. Marketing and business have to work together in order to deliver the value that you want to consumers. Until next week.